once again. I'm actually sitting on the floor because I got my phone charging while I do this. Last time I did a live stream, uh, my phone was starting to die out when I did an hour into it. So, as the title goes, yesterday was the 45th anniversary of the original Friday the 13th. It came out on May 9th, 1980, 45 years ago yesterday. So really excited to do this live stream. It's kind of a cool or interesting live stream. It's always a sad time when someone passes on, but this is a cool topic. I think is to see how many cast members of the Friday the 13th franchise have passed on. Basically, died, and there are quite a few. I think from my list right now, there's like 34. This is just the cast, people that starred in the film. We didn't, or I didn't go ahead and put down the ones that worked behind the cameras. That might be another topic I could possibly do. So, yeah, there's a lot of them that passed on. I do got some of the dates where the year they were born and the year they died. I didn't do any of that for part one, but I did them starting from part two and so on. So this is going to be interesting. I don't know how long this live stream is going to be, because we go all the way up to part one, all the way up to the 2009 remake. And it is going to be interesting. So, we are actually going to go maybe in reverse order. We maybe go from the 2009 remake down to the very first film. So let's do that. Let's go to the who passed on in the 2009 remake from the 2009 remake, which I kind of really enjoy now. Beginning, I didn't really care much for it. So for Friday the 13th, 2009, we got Rosemary Noer. She passed away. Rosemary Noer is God, who did she play? Let me get my my little tablet here. Rosemary Noer passed away. She was born 1942 to 2019. And I already when I picked up my tablet, I already figured out who she was. I remember who she was. It was when Clay goes to this house. It says hello, dog barks. The old lady is who Rosemary Noer is. She passed away in 2019. She kind of reminds me of that lady from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. And then Travis Davis, born 1968 to 2009. 1968 to 2009. I think he was one of the cops. I think, but then there again, I look at that. There was like only one set of. There was only one cop in the film, if I remember correctly. But yeah, he passed away. And I remember hearing about this next one here, and this is from Fred vs. Jason. This is the only death we had from Fred vs. Jason cast member, Chris Gunther. 1976 to 2024, he passed away. And I remember that when it was announced, went on Google, found out who he was. And I think he was on that TV show Lost, I believe. So he's the guy that, is in the cornfield with his other buddy. And it was when Lindemann comes for him, and he takes that hose, sucks into it, and it goes all over Linderman, and then later on it was, Jason's in the thing. Why don't you go ahead and, go ahead and find yourself a pig to F and everything else like that. That's the guy. The one where he's running through the cornfield after they ignite Jason, and Jason throws the flaming machete right into him. That's Chris Gunther right there. Yeah, I like Freddy vs. Jason. I know some people don't like the way Jason looks in that film. I like Jason the way it is. Everybody has brought something different to that character of Jason Voorhees, and I'll say it again. There has not been one bad Jason in this entire franchise. some people didn't like the way Jason was in this one because the fact that it's more like Frankenstein, moving slow. But I thought it was really cool, a really cool take on the Jason Voorhees character. Um, Jason X. Now we got 3 people from Jason X that passed on. 3 people. Micaiah Ward. I believe she is one of the. Micaiah Ward is the girl. It's right when Jason and Brodsky go into the atmosphere, and it's when they land in the lake on Earth 2. That girl with her boyfriend, that's Micaiah Ward. She passed away, 1973 to 2012. I really never saw her in anything else. I think the other 2 are going to be well known. Philip Williams, Crutch, the big mechanic guy with the bandana in Jason X. You'll end up finding the waist hose in your bunk. That dude. He was born 1954, passed away actually last year. Last year Philip Williams passed away. I didn't know that. I didn't really know that he did pass away or not, but a great actor, great funny moments with him and Jason X. I like the fact when Jason has Lou's head in the holding it while they're trying to operate the Grendel and stuff, and he kind of goes back, oh ho, and he laughs, and then we got company here, people, like that. That's the guy. That's Crutch. That's played by Philip Williams. Then director Jim Isaac of Jason X, he directed this film. He also had a cameo in the film too. In the beginning, when the credits were rolling, he was the doctor and stuff like that, getting Jason prepped. 1960 to 2012. Very, very shocking. I think it was cancer that killed him. I'm not really sure. But I like this movie. For those of you who have met him in person, you guys are lucky. I mean, some of these people on this list that are passed on, somebody has actually met them. Because these guys were doing conventions at one time. I don't know if Jim Isaac was, but I think it might have been. He might have done one convention or so before he passed, but it's very, very interesting, So the only confirmed death of a celebrity, the only confirmed cast member that's passed on in Jason Goes to Hell is Leslie Jordan. Yeah, that's right. The little man, the little guy that is with Joey B. The real little guy was his baseball cap or ball cap, whatever it is, wearing backwards. That dude right there. Yeah, he passed on a couple years ago. That was in 2022. He was born in 1955. So 1955 to 2022. Very, very interesting. You gotta wonder, what he died from too. Didn't really say from what I looked up. I just was on Internet Movie Database finding all this stuff out, guys. So I'm just looking at the list here that I got. So far, we got one for Jason Goes to Hell, and then we got one for Jason Takes Manhattan, Friday the 13th, Part 8. Peter Mark Richmond, you guys know him as Charles McCulloch, the evil uncle to Renee Wickham. The guy, didn't want an anchor dropped out in the middle of a storm, which I thought made no sense whatsoever. Because why would you want to go ahead and drift in the middle of a freaking storm out in the middle of the sea or ocean, whatever the heck you're in? Particularly, I would say it was actually the ocean that they were in. I would think, but why wouldn't you drop an anchor when there's a real bad storm out? It does make no sense to me because you're drifting and you're fighting all of it. I don't know too much about being a captain on a boat and steering it through conditions like that in the water. I have no idea. But yeah, great actor too, man. I loved him in this film here. I remember I saw this film back in '89 when my dad took me and my two older brothers to see it. He was also on a couple episodes Beverly Hills 90210, the original series with Jason Presley, the late Shannon Doherty, that one. He was also in an episode of the Lou Ferrigno and Bill Bixby Incredible Hulk. And he was on episodes of Gunsmoke. Uh, he actually worked with Bruce Lee. It was on a, it was, I think it was either a movie or a show that he worked with Bruce Lee on. It was there was a scene in there where there's this guy that was blind and Bruce Lee's trying to teach him how to fight and stuff. And then in walks in Peter Mark Richmond as his character. That would have been really interesting to meet Peter Mark and ask him about what was it like working with Bruce Lee for that short a time, on the set of that show. I would have to go back and look at the name of the show to figure out what that was, but really cool guy. I mean, he seems like he's really cool. I mean, the interviews that they've had, like on YouTube stuff that I've seen, them interview him for like Jason Takes Manhattan and stuff. He just he had a great personality from what you saw, but he really played a real bad guy in Jason Takes Manhattan. But you gotta love that one scene when after Mrs. Van Dusen gets killed, and then it's like, okay, it was right when Rennie remembers, and she remembers when she was young, when Charles pushed her in the water and was supposedly teaching her how to swim, right? So it was right when Sean calls him, says, "You son of a bitch," and then he pushes him down, lands on, I don't know what it was, garbage bags and stuff, junk out there in New York, particularly that was Canada. So they used Vancouver, Canada for most of the parts for New York. But right when Jason wakes up in the middle of the street after that crash, no. And the way Peter Mark was running, and he kept looking back, and the way he's running, he was going to go in that warehouse, and he kind of lunges forward like this, and goes back in, and goes to the top, and then Jason throws him out the damn top window, and all of a sudden he gets dunked into this barrel of nasty stuff. It's unbelievable. But yeah, the last of the Paramount Friday the 13th, there was only one person, one celebrity, one cast member that had died, and that's Peter Mark Richmond from 1927 to 2021. I mean, he was, I think my late grandmother was born in 1925, I believe, so he was 2 years younger than my grandmother. All right, we are moving on to Friday the 13th, Part 7. We got two here, and we got John Carl Buechler, the director of the film, and also special effect and makeup artist, born 1952 to 2019. I loved his work on the film. I loved his vision of it, his idea of let's go ahead and show every single wound that Jason had throughout the previous films before Part 7, and the look with Jason in that film, the rib cage, the spinal cord, right when that mask gets split by Tina, that face that he has, awesome work. The debut Kane Hodder as Jason as well. Great stuff, man. The guy definitely is going to be missed. I know he worked on, I think it was Halloween. I'm wondering if it was Halloween the Curse of Michael Myers he worked on. I know he worked on, I believe, Nightmare on Elm Street 5. I think on that one. I could be wrong. Real good special effect and makeup artist too. I mean, he was really good. He's right up there with like Tom Savini and Nicotero and Kurtzman and Howard Berger, all those guys. And then just recently, the other cast member, just very heartbroken. She is the very first final girl of this franchise to pass on, and we're talking about Lar Park Lincoln, born 1961 to 2025. She made it believable with Tina, the eye movements, everything, to do her telekinesis powers, which is, telekinesis is the ability to lift things up with your mind. So you take this bottle of water here, and then you focus on it, and then this thing will float in midair without you even touching it. She really had Jason thinking for sure in Part 7, because he couldn't quite figure out what she was. Especially in that scene where it was at night when it was, I think it was like lightning and stuff. the way he jumps through the window in the kitchen, and then he just slowly looks at her and like cannot figure her out. Like, what is she? I thought I was the big bad monster, but what the hell is she? I mean, she's able to take stuff and throw it at you without even picking up and throwing it. Just great, great stuff. Uh, and she also was a psychic too, because she can see things happen either after or before they're going to happen. Which I thought was really, really cool. One of the more cooler characters in this franchise. Just very sad to me. And I know Laura had cancer. I never got a chance to have met her. I wish I could have met her, but I've heard nothing but good things about her. So that is definitely a very sad thing in its own. But for those of you who have met Laura at a convention, you guys are very, very lucky. But like I said, I've heard nothing but good things about her. And I did watch 13 Fanboy. She was also really good in that. She had a small role in that, but very, very good. And it was also good seeing her again, too. For Friday the 13th, Part 6, we got 3 people here. We got Ron. It's just a damn shame, man. 1949 to 2012. I had to go back and look at Tom Matthews. I don't think Tom Matthews was born in the 40s. How you doing, Face? Anything new with you? We're just going over the celebrity or the cast members who have passed on from Friday the 13th. We're on Friday the 13th, Part 6. So Ron Pillow was Hawes. I think he was on that show Taxi, I believe, if I remember correctly. And I'm looking. If you're wondering why I'm looking down, I got the notes. I got the list here of all the people that died. And this is just the cast members, not people that work behind the cameras. So we went for Ron Pillow. So we got Whitney Ryback. If you know who Whitney Ryback is, he was the little short, skinny guy with the glasses. The paintball guy that was playing paintball with his other coworkers. That's what they were. He was born 1945 to 2024, so he actually died last year. So yeah, it definitely is great. I'm glad I got all this cut off. It's great, I'm telling you. I feel so much better. I feel so much better. I know some of the people at work liked it too. Yeah, Whitney Ryback, it was just funny, because it was in that scene, because that was the scene where it wasn't C.J. Graham as Jason, it was Dan Bradley, and you can tell the big difference because Dan Bradley was a little bit on the heavier side, not to, I'm trying to describe it in a better way, so we don't go ahead and offend people here, but you can tell the big difference between C.J. Graham and Dan Bradley, and that's the reason why they got rid of I think Dan Bradley, was because they wanted somebody more built. But that whole paintball scene, when you see Jason with the whole paintball crew, that was all Dan Bradley. But that scene was epic with the triple kill. I think I haven't seen Part 6 in a while, but I think they had the triple decapitation of the heads of the two twin brothers, and then the lady. Yeah, I feel sorry for the guy that was with the bandana, telling her she shouldn't be out here playing. She'd be in the kitchen where she belongs and stuff. The way Jason grabs his arm and basically rips his arm off or whatever it was, and then bashes his face right into the tree, and it's like a smiley face on a darn tree. You know all about that. But then we got Bob Larkin, Martin the caretaker. Some folks got a really strange sense of entertainment or something, if I can remember that line correctly. 1929 to 2021, it's Bob Larkin. Martin the caretaker. You got to dig him up. What did you think I am, some type of fart head? Remember some of those lines, You watch this stuff all the time. You pretty much memorize every quote, everything that these characters say. Yeah, I never saw him in anything else, but he was really, really good in this. the whole thing was, I don't know if he was supposed to be a drunk cemetery caretaker or what, but he was just pretty epic. It was sad how he went down, and Jason Lives with his own whiskey bottle getting cracked by the hands of Jason, and then it goes right into his throat. I thought that was pretty impressive. I thought that scene right after he gets killed, and then that young couple who were having a picnic late at night. The dude runs. He hears Martin scream, and then you see Jason finishing him off, and then all of a sudden he gets ready to go again, and then Jason slowly turns like that and sees the guy, and the guy's panicking, telling his girlfriend we got to go get on a motorcycle, and then Jason guts them both with the machete, 2 for the price of 1, you know. So yeah, so that's what we got. So we got the deaths in part. I mean the cast members from Part 6 who all passed on is Ron Pillow, Whitney Ryback, and Bob Larkin. So now we're moving on to Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning. And we do got quite a few. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 of them. And I've only met one of the 6 out of this group here. And we're going to go down with Danny Steinman, the director of this film. And my goodness, he was the same age as my late father. He was born 1942 to 2012. He actually passed away before my biological dad did. And like I said, I haven't seen my dad, since '89. But it was just, very, very, very sad, knowing that, Danny Steinman is the same age as my dad, born 1942, and my father passed away in 2014, but Danny Steinman passed away in 2012. This guy, Danny Steinman, a director, he came from the adult film industry. From what I know, he did all these films, and that's why there's a lot of TNA in the film too. And I still like the film the way it is. The music is very different. I love the way Harry Manfredini did the music for this one. It is totally different from the previous 4 that came before it and the others that came after it. So, I've heard mixed stories from different, the different cast members that were interviewed. You see these interviews on YouTube and stuff. Like some people, didn't have a problem working with him, and there were some people that had a problem with working with him and stuff like that. But it is all it is. But he did a great job with the film. I just love that. Loved what he did. Dominique Baraska, born 1957, passed away in 2018. He played Joey, the guy at the candy bar. Here's the candy bar, Vic. And then, Vic goes ahead and does the whole thing with the axe with it. Fine, if that's the way you feel, just forget it, Vic. Just forget it. You're really out of line. That's Joey. Dominique. There was one other movie I saw Dominique in. That was with Sybil Danning, and that was it was shoot. Let me see if I can look that up. Let me see if I can look that up really quick here. He was in that movie with Sybil Danning, and I just seen it on Tubi, I believe. It was something where she plays the teacher. It was something we started the fire or something, whatever the heck it's called. Let me see if I can find that. We're gonna look up Sybil Danning. We're gonna look up her career here. So yeah, I mean, Dominique Baraska, definitely. They're Playing with Fire from 1984. So he did. Dominique did They're Playing with Fire with Sybil Danning of Howling 2 fame in 1984. I believe it was before he did Friday 5. Very different character he plays in this film. I mean, he's not really in it too much, but he is in a couple scenes. But just some cool stuff. But I'll never forget that line. Fine, if that's the way you feel, just forget it, Vic. Just forget it. I think you're really out of line. Right after he's getting off in the chocolate bar, I think he did something. He also was in the radio and stuff. Dominic was also on the radio, I believe. So that was a pretty cool thing that he had going for himself before he had passed. The next one I did meet at a convention. It was at Flashback a couple years ago when he had a mini Friday the 13th Part 5 reunion. I had the opportunity to meet Ron Salone, Dick Wayne, Melanie Kimmon, Carol Locatell, and Deborah Voorhees. And I only had enough money to meet 3 of them. And I was originally gonna, I knew Melanie Kimmon and Deborah Voorhees were going to be the main 2, and I was wanting to meet Dick Wayne. But then I saw Carol Locatell there, and I'm thinking, something told me I better meet her. Something told me I better meet her, you know. And I did. It was a blast. I thanked her for all the laughs that she did, because her character was funny. You know, her and Ron Salone's character Junior, they were both funny together in film. It was more. I mean, they had comedy to them. I mean, that movie had comedy in it. I mean, I thanked her for for all the laughs and stuff like that. And then I think it was a year or 2 years after that she passed. So I was lucky enough, and I got her autograph right up there. And I did get to meet Dick Wayne this past month at Days of the Dead. So that was pretty cool to meet him. I met him and John Shepard. So Rick Mancini, he was the mayor. The epic scene between the mayor and the officer Tucker, when the mayor's like, give me the maniac who's ever responsible for all this, and then you got Tucker smoking a cigar right there, and then just letting it go in one ear and out the other, and he gets that smile and says, I know who it is, and then the mayor goes, what? Who? What? I said, I know who it is, and he says, who? And then Tucker gives that little grin. It's Jason Voorhees. And then the mayor's like, and this is, the acting of Rick Mancini is just epic. I'd never seen him in anything else but this film, as, he's the mayor. And Jason Voorhees, you must be out of your mind. You were out in the sun too long. Jason Voorhees is dead. Are you sure, man? Were you there? Did you see him cremated? Jason Voorhees, I can't believe this. Jason Voorhees. Here's your Jason Voorhees with an axe. You give me a goddamn live suspect in this way and that way. Great acting, man. I've always loved that. I mean, that scene in there between Tucker and the mayor was just hilarious. One of those moments in that film, which you didn't have Junior or Ethel. It was the mayor and Tucker, and just epic stuff. Man, that guy, great acting though. And then we got, Mark Venturini, Vic. He was also, I believe he was Suicide in Return of the Living Dead. I want to make sure that's who he was before I even do anything, because I know Linnell Quigley was, I believe, Trash. Yeah. Now it's back up to me. Mark Venturini in Return of the Living Dead, his character was Suicide. As a matter of fact, they got a 40th anniversary of Return of the Living Dead this November at Days of Dead Chicago. Practically the whole entire gang, well, minus Mark Venturini, is going to be there. And if you don't have like Don Calfa or Jim Karen or Clu Gallagher, because they're all passed on. But Mark Venturini, him and Miguel worked on this film too, but they didn't have scenes together. But they both went on to do Return of the Living Dead, which I thought was really cool. Mark Venturini, born 1961, passed away in 1996, guys. 1996, I was actually a 6th grader when he passed away. I mean, I was born in 84, so I was a 6th grader when he passed away, so ain't that crazy. Then we got Vernon Washington, who was Gramps, Reggie's grandfather. Vernon Washington was born 1923, died 1988. So he was also in a scene in The Last Starfighter with Lance Gust. And that film was directed by Nick Castle, the original Michael Myers. Uh, that character was pretty cool. I really liked Reggie's grandfather. I really liked that character. Uh, Character seemed like really down to earth. I'm pretty sure Vernon Washington was really down to earth too in real life. Uh, but yeah, so that's Friday the 13th Part 5, guys. That's what we got with the deaths we got here. So we're going on to Friday the 13th, the final chapter. And we have 2 deaths so far out of the cast. We got the late, great, probably by far one of the best Jasons we've ever seen, Ted White, born 1926 to 2022. 1926 to 2022. That guy is a walking miracle, I'm telling you. You know, 90, in his 90s, I think he was like 93 when he died. Guy didn't have to walk with a walker, it seemed like, when you would see him. I mean, he was blessed, gifted, you know. I mean, he was at Flashback Weekend 1 year. Me and my brother didn't go. I think my brother's, something with my brother's car, you know, whatnot, wasn't working. He had to get it fixed because we usually go together to these things. But they had a Part 4 reunion or a Jason reunion, and he was there, and I missed out on an opportunity. And there was one convention that it was at Flashback Weekend as well, a couple years before that. Richard Brooker was there, and it was the one time we didn't go. And you know, it happens. You know, I am so grateful to have met I am so grateful and so happy to have met the actors that were in these movies, the ones I've met so far from the Friday the 13th franchise. I'm so lucky to have met the ones I've met already, because you just never know. I mean, I was lucky enough to meet Steve Dash before he passed, which I thought was really cool. You know, I'm just looking at the posters right now, some of them that are signed. Yeah, Ted White, he did not he didn't want his name in the credits because him and Joe Zito didn't get along. It had to do with Judy Arelson's scene out there in the inflatable boat, where it was going to be her death scene, and then they had to cut that scene, and then they had to redo it, and she wanted to get out of the water, and Joe Zito said no, because it's so hard to get the water to stay still. And she was freezing. She was gonna go under hypothermia, and then Ted White just steps in and told me, "You either get that girl out of this water right now, or else I'm walking." And I think he did the same thing for Peter Barton with the shower scene, with the face crush, with there was no padding behind the wall with the actor or whatnot. He says, "You need to have it padded back there when I do the stunt," and stuff like that. But yeah, the reason why his Jason was scary is because he was pissed off. That's how good he made that character of Jason, because the Jason in Part 3 really wasn't that scary. The Jason from Part 2 really wasn't that scary either, but it was the Ted White Jason that was probably scary, especially when he blows right through that frickin' door right after he gets hammered in the neck by Trish when he comes through the window after Tommy, and he crashes right through the door and throws that hammer like it was a frickin' spear, you know. Great work, man. I mean, great work that he did, and you know, guy was truly blessed, man, with his health, able to walk without a walker and stuff too at the age of 90. I mean, come on. I mean, how often do you see people that can walk at 90 years old without having assistance? I mean, he was lucky. Then we got Eric Anderson, born 1956, passed away last year, which was 2024. He played Rob Dyer, the sister to Sandra Dyer, Jeff's girlfriend from the second film. I didn't really see him in too much of any other things out there, really. Of course, you know, this is back in the day, like when I was growing up, we didn't really have internet, so I couldn't really keep track of what movies or TV shows he was on. But I know he was in a couple of other things. But you know, I never got a chance. I never got a chance to meet him. If you were watching this live stream, if you were watching this live stream, and if you ever met Eric Anderson or Eric E. Anderson, Rob Dyer from Friday the 13th Part 4 Final Chapter, let me know how nice he was. He seems like he was a pretty nice guy when they did the filming location with him and Joe Zito at the Tommy Jarvis house. Uh, some even like with his Q&A sessions, I thought he was really cool. But yeah, so far from Part 4, we got Eric Anderson and Ted White who have passed on. Friday the 13th Part 3 is one of my favorite ones. It's also my brother's favorite as well. We got a rare opportunity this November to meet Marilyn Poucher, who was the second assistant unit director of the film and also played the corpse of Mrs. Voorhees that comes up out of the water in the dream sequence to drag Chris down. She'll be there. But when you think of Part 3, you think of Richard Brooker. I did get a chance to meet his stand-in, which was Mike DeLuna. Very nice guy. When we got up there and met him, when I got up there and met him and stuff. We're gonna go right off the bat. Richard Brooker, the Jason that is credited. Born 1954, passed away in 2013, and I'll never forget that day. I was on the internet, and I believe it was on Facebook, because the Friday 13 franchise posted it up, and that was a bummer because I told my brother about it, and he says, "Oh, he was one of the good Jasons too." And he was. He was actually one of my favorite Jasons. I love the Jason look without the hockey mask. That was the freakiest, especially when he's upstairs, hissing at Chris when Chris is down in the lake inside the canoe. But yeah, I mean, he had passed away. Very good guy too. I mean, very good guy. I love listening to the commentary. When the commentary was with Peter Brack, author of Crystal Lake Memories, Larry Zerner, Dana Kimball, Paul Kraka. I thought that was really, really cool. Gloria Charles, who played Fox, the female motorcycle gang member, born 1955, died 2016. That's iconic scene when Shelly and Vera are inside the little food market thing, and when when Shelly throws the wallet up because I want to say it's the racist cashier tells Vera, says, "And we don't accept no food stamps," because Vera is supposed to be a Latina. And I don't know if Catherine Parks is actually Latina, but they did a really good job because you have me believing that she is Latina. Of course, she misses it. The throw that Shelly throws with the wallet lands on the floor, and all of a sudden you see this black leather high heel boot step over it, and here's Fox, and she directs it to Vera. "Is this your rubber?" And Vera tries to grab the wallet and stuff, and Fox is like, "Didn't your mom teach you manners?" And stuff like that. It's great stuff. It's just sad that she's gone. It really is. And I know that the character was in the Friday the 13th video game that Gun Media did, but it's just sad. That whole death scene, her death scene, you don't really see it, but she gets yanked off the rope, which you don't get to see. That was a little freaky, especially that music that goes with it. But it's when Loco goes up to the second part of the barn, and then when you see her just dangling there with the pitchfork in her, that was very, very scary. I thought that was one of the most eerie moments in Friday 3. Right now, we have Steve Susskind, who played Harold in the beginning of the film, Harold and Edna. Born 1942 to 2005. I remember hearing about this on the internet. Back in 2005, he was killed in a car accident, if I remember correctly. I know he was on an episode of Married with Children. I just love that character because the character is so funny, so hilarious, especially the part when he's on the toilet and he has a bottle of alcohol well, whether it's whiskey or whatever it was. But he's going to the bathroom after all the stuff he was taking a bite out of and drinking out of in his own supermarket store. It's like a thing of Sunny D or orange juice. He drinks that up, puts the cap back on, and puts it back on the shelf, and there's a thing of donuts. He does that same thing too, and bites it off, and then puts it back in the box. Somebody's going to come into the store and they're going to look, hey, there's a bit off donut in here. What the heck? Well, they wouldn't know it's bit off. It could have been broken off for all that matters there, you know. But yeah, I mean, the guy was funny. I mean, I just love the whole setting when it pans in onto their store and you hear the common loon, which is a bird. It's got that sound, and I got that sound for my. I got that bird. I got that common loon bird sound as my ringtone on my phone here, which I just love. And you guys already know I love the outdoors anyway because I just uploaded 2 videos. I did the kayaking, and a couple more I got to upload. Fortunately, I cannot upload the first video I did because it's 21 minutes long, and I don't got enough space on this phone to do it, which sucks. But I mean, it had some really cool stuff on there, ducks flying out of the water and flying in midair. But anyways, Steve Sadowski, 1942 to 2005, he was Harold, the man that kept eating his own stuff out of the store and putting it back on the shelf after he takes a bite or sip out of it. For the final guy of this, it's David Wiley, Abel, the guy that's sleeping on the road before the gang almost nearly hits him. I found this today. There were other parts of the body. He wants to warn you in this way and that way, and click upon this omen and go back from whence he became. I have warned thee. That dude. There was a scene that they actually filmed of him coming across, or Chris and Rick come across him on the way back from where they went with the Volkswagen. You know, but yeah, I mean, he was born 1929, passed away in 2007. Man, that's, you know, you look at this, man, I mean, some of these guys have done conventions, some of them have not. So, you know, I'm going to tell you guys right now, if you guys go ahead and have a Friday 13th guest at a convention that's locally in your town for a horror convention, get in there and meet them. Because I got Kelly Hugh, I got Miguel from Part 5, Tom Matthews from Part 6, and then Marilyn Poucher from Part 3. I'm going to try to meet this November at Chicago's Days of the Dead. Alright, so we're at number Friday the 13th, Part 2. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we got 4 people here in this one. And we're going to start off with the obvious, Steve Dash. I got to meet him at Horror Hound Indianapolis quite a few years ago for the Friday the 13th Part 2 reunion that they had. Real nice guy, real nice guy. I know I think he's a New Yorker, but I believe he's also Italian, I believe. Real sweet guy. I love his Jason. I love Sackhead Jason. I just love that whole the debut Jason particularly. I love a lot. You know, I know he had some debate. Him and Warrington Gillette had a debate, and I believe that Steve Cundy had said Steve Cundy called Steve Dash about coming in and doing all the other scenes because Warrington couldn't do his own stunts. The only thing that Warrington did was the end jump scare through the window at Amy Steele as Ginny. But yeah, you know, I met both Steve Dash and Warrington Gillette, and I'm glad I have both of them on that poster. You know, the only thing that kind of, you know, is bad about that poster is it's all personalized to me. I can imagine how much that would actually go for if it didn't have my name on it, or personalized, because that probably would have went for probably 1,000 or so, maybe 900. I don't even know. I know I need Stu Charno, which I don't think he'll ever do a convention. I think he had done a couple of them years ago. But yeah, Steve Dash, I know he had to have surgery. He had to have, I think, a foot or a leg amputated. I didn't know he was a real bad diabetic. he made it through surgery, and then he pretty much died. Like I think like a day or so later, a couple days right after the surgery, complications of it, of the diabetes. I believe that's what it was. But yeah, it's a shame, you know. Um, I did not know Cliff Cooney, the stunt coordinator. He also played Max, the tow truck driver in this. Passed away. Cliff Cooney was born 1939 to 2020. He was the one that referred Steve Dash to come in and play the role of Jason. Uh, yeah, I did not know he passed away in 2020. When you think of 2020, how can anybody forget around the world? That's when COVID hit the United States of America here. I remember, vaguely, I remember working at a school district. It was in March, and we got the first case of it, and kids were going, we're leaving school every hour. We get to the lunch period, and I was actually training somebody. We get to the first lunch period, and there was barely any students in there eating lunch, and we get to the second lunch period, and there was even lesser students. So I was actually off work for a month and a half, but I got paid for it because the district was nice enough to do that for the employees. But just thinking about that, I just hope Cliff did not pass away from COVID-19. So I know Dawn Wells, Marianne from Gilligan's Island, passed away from COVID. Uh, but yeah, Cliff Cundy, stunt coordinator, and Max, the tow truck driver from Part 2, passed away 1939 to 2020. We have Jack Marks, was the recent one. He was the deputy, the officer Winslow. They didn't really give the officer's name, but he was the one that discovers Jeff and Sandra going over into Camp Crystal Lake, and he's the one that wants to get a warrant for Paul Holt. You're too close. Things have been quiet for 5 years, and that's the way we want to keep it. And then he's the one that actually chases down Jason into the woods, and that scene there was so funny because here's Jason just breezing through the woods to Brussels and stuff, and here's Jack Marks as Officer Winslow just having problems trying to find him, and he runs into a tree trunk and all this other stuff, and then of course he meets his demise when he discovers the shack and he discovers the altar of Jason's mom's head on it and stuff like that. And that was that for him. But I did see an interview of him and stuff like that. He seemed like he's a pretty cool guy. Just very sad, when you see some of these guys from your beloved franchise like this just passing on. Then the last one is Tom McBride. He played Mark, the guy in the military, 2 to 19. That's one thing I should have asked Lauren Marie Tiller when I met her at Horror Hound in Indianapolis. How fast was he in person? I know. Come to find out that he was, I believe he was gay, but that shouldn't make a difference at all. But I know she would say that she would try hitting at him, and she said, "Oh no, that's not going to happen." And so now she was flirting with him and stuff like that too. And of course, Lauren Marie Taylor is just a real sweet person in general. But yeah, Tom McBride, that's just a sad case right there from 1952 to 1995. And then we get one of my favorite ones, Friday the 13th from 1980, the original, the one that just turned 45 yesterday. We had the 45th anniversary yesterday, guys. And we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We got 7 cast members from Friday the 13th, the original, that passed on. Of course, I did not write down the date that they died in the year that they were born, but we're going to go through it. Irwin Keyes. Irwin Keyes was he was either the dishwasher or the custodial guy in the cafe area when Annie was in. The real big guy that stands right with the short lady that's over the counter and stuff, right when Enos and that one lady and then that other customer that's eating. And I heard that customer that's eating in the background was not a extra. It was a real guy that was eating in the store and refused to move, so they just ended up filming that scene with him in it. So Yeah, I know Erwin Keys. He was also one of the cops in The Warriors. So I don't know much about him, but every time I always see the first one, I always think that was so cool when he just steps right in there. He has the broomstick right there with him, and Annie comes walking in. I think she says something about, does anybody know how far it is to Camp Crystal Lake? And they all just look at her. It's hilarious the way he looks at her. It's funny, you know. Sally Ann Golden. Sally Ann Golden, guys. She is the lady, the big glasses that she kind of flirts with Steve Christie, Peter Brower's character in the film. How much are you sending? A Night on a Town, Steve. Yeah, she passed away shortly after the film was made. So I believe she was in the original When a Stranger Calls. I could be wrong about that. I could be wrong, but I know she was in. She was either in that film there, I think. But I could be wrong about that. But I know she was in that film, but I'm not really sure. But I think that's what it said. But yeah, she's gone. She died. I think 82 or 83. I think it was like 82. I believe she passed on. Then we got Willie Adams, who was Barry. Remember Barry and Claudette in the beginning of the film? Now, I did make the actress that played Claudette, which is Deborah Hayes. Barry, Willie Adams and Deborah Hayes were boyfriend and girlfriend at the time. And I didn't know that he had passed on because she was at, I believe it was Days of Dead Chicago, Deborah Hayes was. And I heard her say something to one of the fans because they asked, about, that Willie Adams. And she had said, yeah, he passed away. I think it was like shortly, a couple years after the film or so, or something like that, or maybe in the 90s or so. But yeah, that's a shame there too, But I didn't know that they actually dated in real life. They were boyfriend and girlfriend. That was pretty cool. Then we got Walt Gorney. You're doomed! You're doomed if you stay. This place is cursed. It's cursed. It's got a death curse. Crazy Ralph from Friday the 13th, Part 1. He also was in Part 2. He didn't survive Part 2, but he survived Part 1. So, go figure. Yeah, he passed away. That was, I believe he passed away in, I want to say 07 maybe. I'm not really sure. But yeah, he was also in that scene in I think it was Trading Places, too. He's standing outside the building when one of the characters was leaving in a car or whatnot. Yeah, I just love that. When you think of Friday the 13th, that's the first thing I think of. Not just Jason too, but Crazy Ralph, the original Prophet of Doom, as Ines the truck driver says. And we got Walt Gorney, Lori Bartram, who played Brenda, passed away. She's the one I believe. I think she passed away in 07. Cancer, I believe. I couldn't imagine what that would have been like if she was at a convention, if she would have done conventions and stuff. But there was a picture like last year or so that I came across of what she looked like. I think it was like a couple years after she had passed. Of course, she was older, but looked pretty much looked different. But I couldn't believe it was really her, man. But it was. But she was the one that got freaked out, and I love that scene where she's in the lake with after Ned scares her, and then she's looking off into the distance, and then, of course you got Kevin Bacon's character Jack, and you got Gina Taylor's character Marcy looking out there, and Brenda's looking, and she sees somebody on the other side of the lake just watching them, and it was so. Mrs. Voorhees knew right away she was going to be a hard one to kill, but she lured her in playing as a kid's voice and got her at the archery range. But yeah, I mean, I just could imagine what she would have thought of the convention scene and stuff, seeing her co-stars at these conventions and stuff like that. Now this next one is very interesting, and I got something I want to talk to you about. Rex Everhart. He played Enos, the truck driver, the one that takes Annie halfway to Crystal Lake. Uh, this guy, his hometown, I live a half an hour away from his hometown. Rex Everhart was born in Watseka, Illinois. I live a half an hour away from Watseka, his hometown. Isn't that pretty cool? Uh, just I couldn't believe it, and I did look up somebody last year that lives up there in Watseka, and their last name was Everhart, and I asked her, "Are you guys related to Rex Everhart?" And she said that the name doesn't ring a bell. Because the reason why I brought it up to her is I told her, I says, well, because the guy that plays the truck driver in the original Friday the 13th, Rex Everhart, he was born in Watseka, Illinois, and that's Watseka, Illinois. So, yeah, I live a half an hour from Rex Everhart's hometown. That's amazing. Uh, it's just like with what's his name, John Shepard from Glen Ellen, Illinois. Even though I don't live that close to Glen Ellen, Illinois, but still nice to know that somebody was in Friday the 13th that's from Illinois, another one, which I thought was really cool. Yeah, he passed away in 2000. Rex Everhart did. He did some voice acting too, I know. But yeah, just when I looked it up on Internet Movie Database and thought, Watseka, Illinois, I live a half an hour from that place. I mean, that's amazing. But he's an old time actor. But I loved him as Enos, the truck driver, and uh, you know, can't Crystal Lake is Jinx. I'll never forget that, man. Just some good stuff. That's the stuff was 1980. They filmed it in 1979. The movie didn't come out until 1980, but great stuff. And then last but not least, we got the original Pamela Voorhees herself, Betsy Palmer, who passed away in 2015. Uh, one of the greatest golden age actors of all time. She did some stuff I believe in the 50s, 60s, and then she retired for about a decade. And the reason why she did Friday the 13th was she needed a new car. So I think everybody's heard that story. I think it's a really interesting story. She didn't think anybody was going to see this film, so it was a piece of shit and everything else, and it blew everybody's mind away when it came out. And still to this day, it's got like a tomato fresh score on Rotten Tomatoes, while the sequels don't have a good score at all. But yeah, get her, mommy, get her, don't let her live. Talking in Jason's voice and mimicking Jason's voice, and then she, her. I was just thinking about her and Adrienne King. They did their own stunts in that film, but I would have loved to have been on set when they were filming part one, when they were getting ready to do the whole scene, all those scenes with Betsy and Adrienne, just to see how they were going to set it up, see them talk amongst themselves, how they were going to do this. Sean Cunningham was there, seeing how they were actually going to do this scene, that scene. Especially when you're in the gun shop, the shop area, and the way Betsy Palmer just basically slaps the hell out of Adrienne King, and I don't know if those were real slaps or what, or if they just made it look like it. But the way Betsy Palmer threw Adrienne on to that table and it collapses, that was pretty strong. And I believe Betsy Palmer was in her 50s at that time. So, I mean, a 50-year-old taking I think was it someone in their 20s, that young, younger than them, and just pushing her, or throwing them through on a table and stuff. That was pretty epic. But I mean, the whole beach scene was even epic too, man. The face smashing into the sand and all that other stuff. Very, very good stuff. But yeah, I mean, I remember hearing about that when she passed away too, and it's like, man, I know she had done conventions, and I know for those people that are probably going to watch this, if you guys have met her, man, you guys are lucky, because I knew, she was really down to earth from, watching, the interviews and stuff with her and stuff, and like, them even interviewing her at conventions and stuff at her table. Just very, very cool. But yeah, I mean, I decided to come out here and do this live stream because I thought this was a different topic for Friday the 13th. You know, the 45th anniversary was yesterday. And I said, hey, man, let's go ahead and count all of the actors and actresses who have passed on from this franchise. Talk a little bit about them. Talk about, some of the great memories I've had with, with their time on in the film and whatnot. But I mean, it's been a blast. It's been a blast doing this. Uh, I got a couple more videos I will be doing, and I got to do that one. My favorite singers, my Rushmore favorite singers, and I got four of them lined up. The fourth one, I think I am going to go ahead and reveal. I might do that video maybe tomorrow after I get home from family's house, celebrating Mother's Day for my mom and stuff like that. We'll probably do that video. But yeah, it's been a blast, guys. I mean, you can't go wrong. Can't go wrong with the franchise at all. I mean, it's got some ones that aren't so good, and I know some people, I do have to agree. I mean, Jason Goes to Hell isn't really that great, but I was watching just to test out the video quality of that on 4K. It was amazing, man. It was pretty cool. So, definitely not my favorite, but if you go back and look at it, you're still getting Jason, but not really in physical format for 90% of the film because he's, jumping bodies. But it is Jason, but he's in a different body. That's the way I just look at it. Uh, you know, I'm just kind of shocked that they got away with misspelling the Voorhees name on the mailbox in the film, but it is what it is. But I'm looking forward to that Jason Goes to Hell documentary that director Adam Marcus is coming out with. It's coming out on physical format. I think this October because I'm going to pick that thing up because I'm just so excited with this whole entire franchise. I mean, it's amazing, man. It really is. I mean, I can watch these things every day. I can just go ahead and just, watch them and just keep watching left and right. I can't even tell you how many times I've seen these films over and over again because that's how long I've watched these things. I watched these things when I was like 4 or 5 years old, and then going to see Part 8 in theater back in '89, and then, seeing Jason X in theater in 2002, Fred vs. Jason 2009 remake, which I've kind of gotten to come around to liking. In the beginning, I didn't really like because it was very, very different. But, Derek Mears definitely was a good Jason. I mean, I knew that going into the whole thing, that was the best thing about that entire film was Derek Mears as Jason. Of course, you had Daniel Panabaker, Jared Padalecki. I was kind of surprised that, Daniel Panabaker wasn't going to be the survivor in that film. It was Amanda Rigetti and Jared Padalecki, of course, the siblings that they played in the film. Yeah, so, with further ado, guys, I mean, that's all I got for this live stream tonight. I hope you guys really enjoyed the video. You guys watch this in replay. Let me know, man. I mean, have you guys ever thought about making a video like this? Just counting off the celebrities that have passed away and just talking a little bit about them and stuff like that. Because, this was a real cool video, a real cool live stream I did today. I mean, some people think, man, it's sad. But like I said, it is. But like I said, it's kind of cool to see how many that are gone. And I believe there's 34 cast members that are gone. So, like I said earlier in the video, you get a horror convention that's coming to your town, and they got Friday the 13th guests coming. Get out there and meet them if you're a fan of this franchise because you just never know. Like I said, I got lucky with Carol Locatell, and I got lucky with Steve Dash before they passed on. But with further ado, that's it. That's all I got. You guys have a great night, and I'm going to start, uploading more of the kayaking videos I did today. So, until then, see you next time.